Hello, BookTube. Thought I'd do a bit of a book haul. It's been a good weekend for books. I've got them from various places, and I also have some vinyl. So I haven't done that in a while. So as you know, Steve and Frida are up here. That gives me an excuse to go wander around and buy books, and what could be better than that? We love having them up here. It livens the place up a bit. So it's been great fun. And we've gone to West Lebanon, New Hampshire. We've gone to Quechee, Vermont, Woodstock, Vermont, Bridgewater, Vermont. We've gone all over, just scouting around some of our favorite places we've found over the years. So I'm going to show you what I got. And then also I got some of these from Steve. So I'll tell you which ones are which. And not to mention that I bought a big bag of books over to the library today for the youth librarian to catalog, and they're all gifts from Steve, so it was great fun. So starting off here, it sort of goes along with Sag Along, and this is the Northern World, the history and heritage of Northern Europe. Beautiful thing, and papers. Really excited to find it. Texts are by Christine Fell, H. Ament, Catherine Hills, James Graham Campbell, Elsa Rosedal, David M. Wilson, Joachim Herman, and Joran Moberg. It's a Harry N. Abrams Incorporated Publishers out of New York. And these are all scholarly folk. And this came out in, I think, 1980. Yeah, 1980. Originally from Timms and Hudson, and then also in 1980 by Harry N. Abrams. So we have Gods and Heroes of the Northern World, Germanic Tribes in Europe, Anglo-Saxon Settlement of England, Celtic Contribution, Picts, Scots, Irish, and Welsh, the Scandinavians at Home, the Viking Adventure, the Northern Slavs, Romanticism and Revival, and then it has a bibliography, sources for the illustrations, and an index. And this will give you a feel for what it's like. Really excited to get into this. The interest has been piqued a bit by reading the sagas. We're just finishing up the Laxdala saga. Oh, this is funny because this has one of Steve's favorites, Gerald of Wales. I opened right up to the same spot I did when I was talking to him earlier. He's got good maps. So it's exciting find. I think this was $1. Cost $1. So it's going to be hard for me to find a place. I'll pull a chair over here. Hard for me to find a place to put these because there is really a lot, and I probably shouldn't take all day to do this. Louisa the More, hardback. The Trail of Seven Pines. This is a Hopalong Cassidy novel. I'm always happy to read Louisa the More. It's a nice, relaxing storyteller. No, he's not a relaxing storyteller. They can be exciting, but for me, it's a way to escape and... Excuse me. Then here, I've read a lot of books by and about Julia Child. I have not read this one. This is Appetite for Life, the biography of Julia Child by Noel Riley Fitch. Looks interesting, but anything about her would be to me. I'm a big fan. Really interesting human being. And I think that her husband was, her friends, and yeah, very nice. This, Thomas Fleming, Liberty, the American Revolution. Big old oversized thing. So, anything about the American Revolution I always like to check out, and this one looks good. This one's from Steve. I'm going to give this a read because I'm going to do a little bit of a project with it, I think. This is called Criminal Dissent, Prosecutions under the Alien and Sedition Acts of 1798 by Wendell Berg. Very scholarly thing from Harvard. I've been going through it a little bit. There's some connection with Vermont in the early republic that I'm interested in doing a paper on. This will set me straight. I've read a section on some of this in the Dumas Malone multi-volume biography of Thomas Jefferson. Ran into the Vermont connection a little bit. And as always happens, the serendipity, Steve shows up with this, and there's stuff in it that I've already looked at the index and seen that there's stuff that I really, really want to dig into further. So very excited to have this. Then, equally academic, no, not true. I have Clive Cussler here and Boyd Morrison, Piranha, a novel of the Oregon Files. These paperbacks, these Cusslers, I have tons of the hardbacks too. I just, again, like the Louisa the More, great entertainment, escapes for me, and I enjoy them very much. Then, I know I'm going rather quick here, but if I don't, I'm telling you there's so much, I'll be doing this all day. This is the Oxford Book of Children's Verse in America, chosen and edited by Donald Hall. And anytime I see these Oxford books, I'm at least going to give them a close look and a thought, right? So these are poems. I'll have to go through it. It's probably a safe bet that it's a good volume, but like I say, it's new to me, so glad to find it. And what I found today is Martin's 100 by Ivar Noel Hume. I've read this book many, many times. It's really what introduced me to historic archaeology, as we call it in the United States. And in this case, it's archaeology about the colonial era. He was the archaeologist at Williamsburg ages ago. Fascinating, fascinating book. And if you're an archaeology fan or an early colonial history fan, this is the volume to have. One of the volumes to have. There's been a lot. I think James Kelso's another archaeologist who does a lot with that. Then a couple paperbacks here. I got them because of their covers and subject matter. I have read neither. And I've been told that for the first one here, that is a great gap in my reading experience, and I'm sure that's true. First here is The Tale of Genji by Lady Murasaki, translated from the Japanese by Arthur Whaley. And it's one of these double-day anchor books that used to be really common. What a beautiful cover that is, huh? Look at that. This thing's in really good shape for being, I'm not even sure when it's from. Now, this is not the entire Tale of Genji. This is the first book of it, I guess. I don't know how they divided it up. They probably would say here. But let me get a date on this for you so you have an idea. So, okay, there'll be another volume called Part 2 of the Tale of Genji, The Sacred Tree, is also available. So I have never seen that. And this came out in 1955. So as an anchor book. So really, really lovely volume, and the pages are nice and clean. And then right alongside that, so what did these cost when they came out? $2.95. This one was less. Again, something I'm unfamiliar with, but a lot of folks probably are familiar with. This is Dream of the Red Chamber by Cao Huxin Chen, if I'm saying that close. Translated and adapted from the Chinese by Chi Chen Wang. Double-day anchor book again, $1.95. And look at that cover, isn't that lovely? These things are in great condition. I didn't pay anything for them, basically. Well, I paid a little, but not much. Quarter, maybe. Then a book that I'm looking at for Steve. This is Stephen Taylor, Sons of the Waves, Common Seaman and the Heroic Age of Sail. This is an arc. I'm going to be working my way through this. Very excited. It looks like something that right up my alley. And then here, I'm running out of places to put these things. This was a great find. for nostalgia at least. This is Tolkien, A Look Behind the Lord of the Rings by Lynn Carter. The Ballantine books. Lynn Carter was one of the early proponents of Tolkien, and he also edited the Ballantine books adult fantasy series, which was a reprint series to try to get as much of this stuff into print as possible because of the popularity of the Lord of the Rings. This was originally copyrighted in 1969 by Lynn Carter, but this is an 8th printing of 1974. But there's a lot of hunger for this type of thing, and it's sort of a little great piece of cultural nostalgia, I guess you'd say here. And then this is another one from Steve. This is Luca Fezzi, Crossing the Rubicon, Caesar's Decision and the Fate of Rome. I'm going to give this one's going to ride right up towards the top of the TBR. It's translated from the Italian by Richard Dixon, who some of you will know translates Roberto Colasso and Umberto Eco, among others. And this is more of a scholarly type of thing, and in-depth enough so that I'm sure I will learn something. Then for the bibliophiles, we have the Directory of Dealers in Second-Hand and Antiquarian Books in the British Isles, 1981 to 83, Shepherd Press, London. Interesting little volume with some fun ads. I had one I opened up early. Yeah, Jarndyce and Jarndyce. So you Dickens fans will know what that shop was named after. Listings in some detail, a lot of ads. So my guess is a lot of these shops aren't around anymore. Then, James Bond fans. This is Forge Press. A lot of you know them from sci-fi, but nobody does it better. The complete, uncensored, unauthorized oral history of James Bond. So these are the authors who did 50-Year Mission, which was in 2 volumes about Star Trek. I only have the first. There's always nuggets, gems, interesting stuff in these. The only quibble I have, and they're designed to be different, so it's just me, is when you see these snippets from the makings of the movies and all that, and it's the same thing as Star Trek, there's not really a way to track. There's no like index. I can't figure out who said what about what without reading straight in a linear fashion and missing something, I guess. So, but how much fun is that? James Bond stuff's always fun. And then this is a beautiful thing. Again, the Steve book. This is the Sky Atlas, Edward Brooke Hitching, the greatest maps, myths, and discoveries of the universe. Just delightful. End papers, look at that. So I have been thinking about doing a video. I've talked to a few of you. I have a large collection of nautical charts, National Geographic maps all the way back to the 40s, lots of atlases, and so I've thought about the best way to film that. I'm not there yet. I'm not quite sure how I would do it. You have to lay out the charts and the maps and all that. The atlases even can be difficult to handle and difficult to film, so we'll try to figure it out. This other one here is Alexander Mikaberidze. I just destroyed that, and I don't think I could do it better. Napoleonic Wars, A Global History. I could probably yell to Steve and ask him how to say it, but he's in the other room writing. So an overview of the Napoleonic Wars, but it does have the nautical stuff in it, and which I love. So I'll be giving that a read. And then The Shadow of Vesuvius, A Life of Pliny. We just Steve Donahue discussed a couple times in his Daily Penguin. And those of you who are missing the Daily Penguin, you can blame me because the guy's up here right now. But he has all the Penguin copies I have. I'm sure he already has. So he could. I guess we could talk him into a video maybe. Here is this a beautiful thing. Again, from the same source. The Ruins Lesson. Meaning and Material in Western Culture. Always been a fascinating thing to me. I think it was Rose Macaulay did a big book about ruins and the imagination. And these are like architectural ruins, like this type of thing. And maybe it's mentioned in here. I do have that. I think it was called Among the Ruins. Or I don't want to hold you up too long with this. But I'm pretty sure that's what it was called. You know, it's probably right here. Rose Macaulay. I don't see it. But anyway, I'm looking forward to this. This will be a much more up-to-date and scholarly take, I'm sure. Then here, from the same source, is Michael Kulikowski, The Tragedy of the Empire, from Constantine to the Destruction of the Roman Italy. I like the cover. And this is, again, is Harvard Belknap, a beautiful thing. 2019. And amply illustrated. Actually, beautifully illustrated. I imagine there's like, look, the bibliography is, worth the price itself, right? And then I found this in the children's section of a charity shop yesterday. Sir Walter Raleigh and the Quest for El Dorado. This is by Mark Aronson, Clarion Books, New York. This came out when? I'm just going to mess up on the date here because the print's small and 2000. Nicely illustrated with period type things, and then these map. There's just a really nice map here. Well, here's some older maps. Story that fascinates me, and so glad to find that. And then the last of the books, there we have, I'm trying to get hard covers of these. I have a lot of paperbacks, and this one's George Railroad Martin, The Dance with Dragons. Got it in wonderful condition. I don't know if it's, the end papers are beautiful, huh? I don't know if it's first edition. Either way, don't care much. Bantam Books, New York. No, this is like, this is a 23rd printing, and it's of 2011. So yeah, it's not even close. But I got that for a song. So now I'm going to have to move some books and try to figure out, for those of you who like vinyl, and I'll do them really quick, how to do this. I'm nervously watching my 7-year-old boy out there pouring his own milk and cookies. You be careful, buddy. Okay?
Okay.
Thanks. So these were all about $1.75, except for the last one.
I took Oreos.
Okay, you're good. You can take Oreos, no problem. This is Introduction to Operas and Das Rheingold by Wagner. I grabbed it. It was $1.75. The condition is fantastic. And I got home and I have it. I'm trying to get this whole set. And for some reason, it seems like I'm going to buy the same one over and over again. But what I'll do is I'll go through and make sure the condition of every disc is perfect. And if I have to combine the boxes, I will. The next thing I did, so all three of them were $1.25 and one was $8. And I'm trying to get the full set of this bicentennial Beethoven collection of LPs. And now with these, I've got the first 10, and I've located another 5. There's 17, I believe. So this was the $8 one, and this is chamber music. I have to put them over this way. This is number 10. And this is Music for Violin and Cello Part 1. I know 11's over where I'm going to go, so I'll be able to get Part 2 of that. This is Choral Music, Volume 6. And, we were just listening some of these discs on my record player over there. And then Volume 7 is String Quartets. So this, combined to what I already have on the shelf, gives me 10. I'll need to get 7 more of them. But that, like I say, I've got quite a few of them lined up. I might go get them tomorrow. So that won't be a problem. So thank you, BookTube, and we will be talking to you later.